Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand as the news comes pouring in about Manchester United and this big sale that looks like it's really set sail and really I can't believe I'm thinking about boats. We're not going down the boat thing again, that was Bruno. We're going to be talking about who will buy Manchester United. I think there's been a lot of talk about Manchester United being up for sale, and obviously a lot of people are talking about that, and maybe some people are still getting to grips with that. But who will actually buy Manchester United? Because there's actually a few hints as to who it's going to be already in these, it's not even been 24 hours since we found out that the Glazers are looking to sell. So who will buy Manchester United? More importantly, I want you to get involved in the comments, and if you're live, who do you want to buy Manchester United? I put a tweet out this morning saying that Liverpool have put it out there that they're potentially for sale. A lot of the hardcore Liverpool fan groups do not want what Man City and Newcastle have got. They don't want that, I suppose, dubious, is in their words, not mine, ownership with, moral, dubious morals and human rights issues and whatever you want to call it. That apparently some Liverpool fans do not want that type of ownership. I would imagine the similarities are similar between Manchester United and Liverpool, even though we don't like each other. We're very, we've got fan bases that have, worship the club. It's a religion. We've got history. There will be United fans who don't want that as well. However, you look around on social media and there's a lot of United fans saying, I don't really care who we buy. I don't care really who buys us as long as they put money into it. The ship sailed, to coin a phrase about a boat, about morals in football a long time ago. And you're probably right. You look at the players, ex-players, pundits out in Qatar at the moment. I mean, they left, they're there for the money. They've gone for the money. So, football sold out to money a long time ago, and that's got nothing to do with Man City, Qatar, Newcastle or anything else. Football and money got sold out a long time ago. The Premier League is about money. So, I don't know. I don't really know where I stand on that, on who I want to own Manchester United. That's a personal opinion, and I'll make my mind up on it, and I won't have any impact on it. But who will buy Manchester United is who I want to talk about. There's a lot of people talking about Mukesh Ambani, who I will talk about. He's an Indian billionaire. He owns an IPL cricket franchise in Mumbai. We can talk about him. We can talk about Sir Jim Radcliffe. But I want to start off talking about the Rain Group. Now, some of you might not be interested in this video. Some people are going to be really passionate about it, but I'm very passionate about it. This is about the future of Manchester United Football Club. It's for sale. I think if you care about Eric Ten Hag, the past, the future, the Ronaldos, the Rooneys, the Brian Robsons, the Roy Keanes, then this is going to be a really interesting video because who will buy Manchester United? Now, listening and reading and talking to people this morning, everybody I've spoken to and everything I've read really indicates that this is very advanced, that United probably already know who's going to buy the club. It's laughable that Piers Morgan put that tweet out last night, and it's laughable that some United fans are thinking that Cristiano Ronaldo is to do with this. Cristiano Ronaldo did that interview to get a free transfer out of Man United. Cristiano Ronaldo did not cause the sale of Manchester United. The sale of Manchester United has been going on for weeks and probably months. Some would say it even started the minute that game got called off from the Super League. The Glazers have been planning this for a long time. If you want to put credit anywhere, put credit on the United fans who have been trying to get the Glazers out for 17 years. Put credit on the United fan groups that have been organising the protests. Put credit on yourself for putting a tweet out about Glazers out. The Man United fan base have made it very, very clear that they don't want the Glazers here. And that will be a factor. That will be a factor. When you're not loved and you're not wanted, it's a factor. But the biggest factor of all is that they just can't afford to rebuild the stadium. They can't afford to put the money in. And they know the future is bleak. So they're going to get out while they can. They're going to sell while they can. It doesn't matter whether the Glazers are the worst owners or the best owners. They'd still sell. Liverpool's owners aren't bad. They're still selling. Clubs are selling because they know they can't afford to keep up with the other clubs now, and now's the time to cash out. That's why they're going to do it. If Elon Musk bought United the way he's running Twitter into the ground, he would fire De Gea for not scoring goals, says Claudio. Well, look, let's go through who's going to buy Manchester United. We will talk about Ambani. We will talk about Sir Jim Radcliffe. But we will start off with where we think United are going to be sold. There's a lot of rumours that the Glazers already have an idea where they're going to sell. Because Manchester United are listed on the stock exchange. United have got shareholders. I've been told this categorically. The Glazers didn't wake up yesterday morning and go, we're going to sell the club. Let's put it out there publicly. The Glazers have put it out there publicly after they know who they're going to sell it to. That's what somebody said to me. That you don't put that information out there publicly without knowing you've got really strong buyers that you want to sell to. Now, I was told this morning that United might have 4 or 5 people that they're considering selling to, but there'll be 4 or 5 people that they're very happy to sell to. They will not be in a position where they've put that out publicly and they've got no idea who they're going to sell to. Basically, they haven't put the house on the market blindly. They haven't put it on the market and gone, let's see who's interested. They'll have put it on the market knowing that there's 4 or 5 people that they'll sell to, but potentially open to anybody new coming in. But they'll know that they've got buyers and they'll be happy with those buyers. And those buyers are very likely to be US investment funds. Very likely. But it doesn't mean that's what will happen. But what it means is that they know they've got buyers that they're ready to sell to, and they might be open to others as well. The new owners must change the board, get football minds at the head of the table, and what time will be back where we belong at the top, says Daniel Lee. We'll talk about that in a bit, because I think you're right, and I've seen the Manchester United Supporters Trust release, and whilst we don't always agree with the Manchester United Supporters Trust, I do agree with them on that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Sol. But let's take the hints of who United are going to buy. Who's going to buy United? Now, the Rain Group are basically, on a very simple level, estate agents for Manchester United. They are going to be the ones who handle the sale of Manchester United. They're also the same people who handled the sale of Chelsea. Roman Abramovich, the British government, basically appointed the Rain Group to take in prospective buyers and whittle it down to a shortlist. And this was very public. There were a lot of people, over 100 prospective buyers got in contact with the Rain Group about Chelsea back in the spring. So again, this could easily replicate itself with Manchester United. But there was a reported over 100 separate bids interested in buying Chelsea. And they got it down to about 4 or 5 as a shortlist, of which Todd Boehly was one of those. This was a very public process. We probably won't get that. With Chelsea, there were loads of prospective buyers, and it got put down to a shortlist, and it was very public. We will probably find out through the press, or even the prospective buyer themselves, that they're interested in buying Manchester United. Because, to be honest, if you are interested in buying Man United, you should make it public, because the fans will go, we want them, and it could create a noise that they get the club. So we will be made aware of some of them, but the Glazers will not. I'd be very surprised if the Glazers put it publicly that we've had 5 bids that we're considering, because they'll be like, it's got nothing to do with you. It's up to who we sell to. So it won't be as public, but we will have a lot of people interested in us, and I'm sure they will have a prospective shortlist. Now, who would be on that shortlist? Just to give you an idea of what Chelsea were considering, obviously Todd Boehly, American-based consortium, whatever you want to call it. There was Sir Martin Broughton, who had another consortium, former chairman of British Airways, but was a Chelsea fan. There was the Boston Celtics owner, Stephen Pagliuca, who was interested in buying it as well, another American investment. There was Chicago Cubs owner, Ricketts family, but I think I think Chelsea fans went against that because of remarks they made. I can't remember what it was at the time, but they made some remarks that Chelsea fans didn't like. Another Chelsea fan who had a consortium and Korean investments, a Saudi media group, an Egyptian billionaire, a Turkish billionaire, Centricus, which was a London-based investment firm. So, and that was just they were just people that were being considered for the shortlist. So you're going to get a lot of this. You're going to get a lot of interest, and obviously there will be money from the Middle East. There may well be money coming from China. There may well be. Look, there'll be all sorts of investments. I mean, as I said, with Chelsea, they had Egyptian billionaires, Turkish billionaires, money from Korea, Middle East. Lots of American investment. We know the Premier League is massively appealing to American investment at the moment. Bournemouth is a club recently that's been linked in with that as well. The interesting thing I found about Chelsea is that quite a few people were Chelsea fans. There was a few investment funds fronted by Chelsea fans. So I would expect the same thing could happen with Manchester United. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a consortium that used a Class of 92 member, or a Rio Ferdinand, or a Wayne Rooney. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think we'll see Ronaldo. I found it really interesting this morning researching this Rain Group process with Chelsea, because we're going to have a very similar process. And one or two of them did have Chelsea legends involved, or famous Chelsea fans involved. I wouldn't be surprised if an investment fund got basically, like, when Great Britain got the Olympics and they had people like David Beckham involved. I wouldn't be surprised if an investment fund tried to win public opinion by bringing in a legend of the club to get involved. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because that was the sort of the way that Chelsea did it. So I think what we're going to get is, we're going to have people who are trying to buy Man United, who we find out about over the next few days, weeks and months, who we've never bloody heard of. There'll be owners of American franchises. There'll be investment funds from all over the world. There will be Middle East interest. There'll be loads of people interested. And the odd thing is, we will not have any say in it. I think desperately any fan group, or any fan, myself included, would be saying, please, please consult the fans. But they don't necessarily need to consult the fans, because what do we want? What do we want as fans? Whether it's Man United Supporters Trust, this community, or any other group, what do fans want? Why would anyone buy and carry our billions of debt, says Tom? Well, they won't carry the debt. The debt will be part of the sale. Nobody's going to buy the club and take the debt. The debt will be cleared with the Glazers. That will be part of what they bought. But we all want the same thing. We all want an owner whose sole focus is making Manchester United the biggest club in the world. And the biggest club in the world can be revenue, but must be stadia, structure, team, success. They're very simple principles, and that's what we want. So they can consult with fans if they want the Glazers on the sale, but really we want somebody who's going to build a new stadium, or renovate the new stadium ideally, spend a lot of money on the infrastructure, spend a lot of money on the team, and make us the biggest club in the world again on the pitch. That's simply what we want in any prospectus. So I don't feel we need to be consulted. That's the sort of owner we want. Now, when I was reading about Chelsea, every prospective buyer had that in their mission plan, their mission statement. We will make Chelsea. We're going to invest in the women's team, the stadium. Everybody said that. It's not going to be the same for United, because when Chelsea was being bought, it was a very public thing, because Roman Abramovich was being removed. The government were involved. So every investment, everybody trying to buy Chelsea was saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The Glazers basically just want to sell. The Glazers might not care what the plan is. The Glazers just might go, there's 6 billion. You can have the club and bleed it dry. They might do that. We don't know. And that's always going to be the concern. But the fee is going to be about 6 billion. Somebody said in the chat, I told you so. You've always been saying 6 billion. I think Romano said it this morning. The fee that they want is £6 billion. Now, there's a couple of people that we do need to mention. Sir Jim Radcliffe and Ambani, who I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, are two people a lot of people are talking about in the chat now. And Isaac has said, is Ambani any good? Now, I've seen the name Ambani mentioned for years in this chat group. I know we have a lot of fans from that part of the world who will know a lot more about Ambani than I do, and many UK-based fans would, because, I haven't got my encyclopedia of worldwide billionaires to hand. Apparently, Ambani is owner or part owner or whatever of Reliance Industries, which is an Indian-based company, I believe, that has its hand in many things: energy, pharmaceuticals, communications. And his worth is meant to be about £90 billion. He's the 8th richest person in the world, Indian businessman. As I said before, owns a cricket franchise in Mumbai, and they have apparently expressed an interest in buying Liverpool. So I don't know. Liverpool have apparently appointed Goldman Sachs to do their sale. We've got the Rain Group. Now, Diogo says Rain Group actually required infrastructure and transfer funds to be set aside as part of the sale price for Chelsea. So hopefully they'll do the same here. Yeah, but Diego, that's... the Chelsea sale is very different to ours. The Chelsea sale was based on what the fans and the government wanted for Chelsea Football Club, because basically Roman Abramovich was forced to sell. Remember, the Glazers are in charge of this sale. They may allocate. They may say they want. I mean, why would the Glazers say to the new owners, we want 4 billion, but you've got to pay an extra 2 billion guaranteed in sales and transfers and stadia. It's going to be very interesting. Nobody's mentioned yet how much of a role the Premier League is going to have in this, because there was a rule with the new owners that they can't, for Chelsea, that they can't welcome Soyas to the members club. There was a rule with the new owners for Chelsea that they couldn't take dividends out for 10 years. That rule has to happen with Manchester United as well. We must be protected from anybody taking any money out of the club. So, sorry, I just had to get rid of somebody in the chat there, idiot. You know who you are. Korstav says, Ambani is an obsessed character who will appoint the best people on the job and will make United great again. That's a guarantee. Well, apparently, and again, I don't watch cricket, so apparently his franchise in the IPL has done really, really well. But I feel with Ambani and many of these people are just looking at billionaires and saying, I'd like them to own Manchester United. Look, he has the wealth, he has the business behind him. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't know why people would be opposed to it, but we will learn more about prospective buyers over the coming weeks and months. Of course we will. The reality is we just have to get the right one. I'm not going to get my knickers in a twist about who it is. I mean, I would say, moving on from Barney, and he is very interesting, but it depends whether he's interested in buying Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe's the one that people are very obsessed with. Mark, will you say if the new owners ask you to be on the new board, if you want to be the new director of football or even the CEO? Yeah, that's not going to happen, Jims. And the Ambanis are shadier than the Glazers. They are more asset rich than cash rich. With a change in government, their wealth will diminish, says Suyash. Well, you see, we don't know the full story of everybody, do we? Elon Musk, I don't think will buy Manchester United. I don't think he will. He certainly got the wealth to do it, but I don't think he would. Maybe he would. We don't know. But with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it's an interesting one with Sir Jim Ratcliffe because, again, the Rain Group, when they sold Chelsea, were basically going to go with the Todd Boehly deal. And then Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in at the end and said they should consider our deal because we feel it's a better deal. And they didn't. They went with Todd Boehly. So, you know, there might be... Sir Jim Ratcliffe might not fancy dealing with the Rain Group again. In business, I doubt that would be a factor. The thing I would say about Sir Jim Ratcliffe is he's a Man United fan. He's a local lad. And he's a very rich person who has he's a billionaire. I feel he would have to have a consortium behind him. I don't feel that the wealth is there to buy Man United for 6 billion and then spend another 10 billion on us. I mean, 10 billion sounds like a lot, but I think if you want the rainbow, then you're not going to have to put up with the rain. I'm talking about a rainbow here. If you want happy days at Manchester United again, I would say 12 billion is needed straight. Someone needs 12 billion spare straight away, because you're going to need 6 billion to buy the club. You're going to need a lot of money to spend on Man United over the next 10 years. It's not, people go, you don't need to spend 6 billion. We've got to build a new stadium. You've got to build the infrastructure, and then you've got to build the team and the staff. And that's going to take billions of investment over the next 10 years. Of course it will. Look at how much Man City have spent in 10 years to go from, a club that was never going to win the league to where they are now. So I certainly think you need 10 billion spare to buy the club 6 and 4. And not many people are going to have that type of wealth. I'm going to be critical here, and it's only my opinion. I don't really want somebody to buy Man United who is a hardcore Man United fan, who is, basically mortgaging themselves up to the hilt to buy the club. I think there's plenty of people who could do that. There'll be plenty of people waking up this morning going, I love Man United, I want to buy Man United, and I'll make us great again. And they're ringing up their mates going, can we get some money from here? Can we get some money from here? We're nearly there. We just need a couple of billion more. Come on, we can do it. That's not... I know it... In one way, it's the ideal owner. People who care about the club raising the money to buy the club. But in the modern world, we actually need somebody to come in and go, that's loose change, I'll buy the club, and here's a load of money to make it great again. As we said at the start, the morals in football went out the window a long time ago. It's going to be very interesting what happens with Liverpool and Manchester United, the two big footballing institutions in English football. Will they be sold to owners like Man City and Newcastle, where money is not the problem and it's basically let's just go out there and be successful? Or will there be resistance to that and say, no, we don't want that type of ownership? And that's the next battle, by the way. If you think the fan base is suddenly going to not be divided anymore because we're going to get rid of the Glazers and a lot of the arguments will stop, there could be arguments coming in very, very, very soon on what people want. You know, what do people want? What do you want? What do the fan groups want? What does Manchester United Supporters Trust want? What does this community want? What does any other community want? What do we collectively want? Because that's the next argument. I mean, obviously we won't have any say in it, but there will be some United fans that are over the moon if we end up with an owner like Man City. There'll also be some Man United fans who are disgusted if we end up with that sort of ownership. So, you know, it's going to be very, very interesting. And Barney also set up the Indian Super League, although it's still miles away from being a top league. I'm assuming he does have the required knowledge. So Suradeep and Carmine has just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much. So in the quest to the next page for me is really what I'm really interested in is who the next buyer is going to be of Manchester United and how many of them we're going to find out about. But I'll take you back to the start. Absolutely no way have the Glazers woken up yesterday morning and gone, that Piers Morgan interview with Ronaldo's the last straw. We're selling the club. Let the stock market know. This has been going on for a very long time. I mean, I remember talking about this in August and I said, I'm absolutely confident that Man United will be sold in the near future. I can't put a date on it, but I'm absolutely confident it will be sold in the near future. And many of you agreed. And the reason we agreed on that is because the club's losing money, sponsors want out. We know to be successful, we need about another 400-500 million spending on that team. We need a stadium that's going to cost a few hundred million as well. The club's not going to be making any money, and the Glazers don't want to spend money. It was obvious that now is the time to sell. And lo and behold, they're going to sell. How much of this saga is public is going to be massively interesting. It's in the interests of some of the people trying to buy United to go public. We saw that with Chelsea. It is in their interest to put your interest public and let the fans decide. Because as I said, the owner of the Chicago Cubs was publicly interested in Chelsea, and the Chelsea fans made it public that they didn't want him, or they didn't want that ownership from that family. And they pulled out. So I think prospective owners will get to the point where they do make it public. Because the Glazers probably won't want it to be public. But if you're trying to buy Man United, why would you not make it be public? Why would you not test the water to see how the fans react to you? Because that is something to bear in mind. The opposition to the Glazers over the last 17 years has been fantastic. And, it's been a long journey to get where we are. And at times in that 17 years, the push to get them out has been more vocal than it has in other years. But it's always been there. This is not a new phenomenon. Glazers out on Twitter is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for 17 years. But that will be something that new owners will be very aware of. They will know that you can't buy the club and just go, it doesn't matter what the fans think about us, because it's toxic. It can impact on sponsors. It can impact on the club. So I think we'll see a lot of prospective buyers trying to test the water. Ty says he doesn't mind Middle East owners. It's time for us to reclaim the throne at the top. And imagine if the new owner bought Ralph Rangnick back as football director, says Sheriff. Imbani is the Mumbai Indian owners, and they did really well, says Football United. Lots of people have said to me, who would you like to be? Would you have a problem with Middle East owners? You're putting me on the spot there. You know what? I don't know who the prospective owners of Manchester United would be. So I can't sit here and say I don't want them to own Man United because there are dubious human rights issues in that country or whatever. That's not really relevant because we don't know. The only thing I would say is that Manchester United, Manan, sorry I missed your super chat. Manan, sorry. There will be an element of hypocrisy. If we get an owner that's a multi-billionaire, then, we're no different to Man City and Newcastle, are we? We're using a cheat code. But on the other hand, I think you need a cheat code now. I don't think you can be successful. I mean, there are so many clubs that are rich that you've got to be rich. And ultimately, Of course I want Man United to be the richest club in the world. Of course I want us to be able to blow people out the water for Mbappe, or at least compete. As I said, I think football left its morals outside the door a long time ago. And anybody who pretends that that's not the case, then you're very wrong. On a very basic level, the Premier League was just about money when it was made up, and the doors have been open for a very long time for people to come in with money and buy football clubs. So why should Manchester United not be the same? My personal opinion is I will take every prospective owner of Manchester United with an open mind and then make my decision based on that. I mean, I think that's what everybody will do. I wouldn't rule anything out. I wouldn't rule anything out at the moment. But that's just a personal opinion. Ronaldo did the choice right to do the interview and expose the club and the Glazers. His heart would always... I don't agree with that, Stephen. I'm sorry. I just don't. I love Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think it's disrespectful to this fan base that people are trying to hold Ronaldo up as the hero that forced the Glazers to sell when it's absolutely not true. Ronaldo did an interview a week ago. The Glazers have been looking to sell this club for many weeks, months. So where's the correlation between an interview a week ago and the Glazers planning and talking to sell the club for a long time? That's completely disrespectful. Manchester United fans deserve credit for getting the Glazers out. Nobody else. Not Ronaldo. Ronaldo did that interview to get a free transfer. He didn't do that interview to get the Glazers out. Come on. People need to open their eyes up and appreciate themselves a little bit more. I love Ronaldo. I want him to win the World Cup. I think he's one of the greatest players that's ever played. He's a legend of Man United. But people need to wake up and smell the coffee. He's not the reason that the Glazers are selling. The Glazers made this... I personally think the Glazers started this not last summer, the summer before. I think the Glazers crapped themselves when that game got called off and the Super League fell through. They realised that the fans are very powerful, but more importantly, they realised they just lost. You know how much money the Glazers lost with the Super League collapse? They were going to rake it in. There was guaranteed hundreds of millions of pounds coming to United just for being in the Super League. When that fell apart, I think that's when they started to go, we need to get out. And the same things happened at Liverpool. Hi Mark, what's your thoughts on this being a quicker sale than expected? Do you think this can happen before the January transfer window? Neil, time limits leads back into what I said there. If United have been planning this sale in the quiet for the last few months, then there's months of advancement already there. If this is we're waiting for bidders, it's going to take ages. So, you've got to put your business head on here. If we're sold before Christmas, I'll be stunned. But if we're sold before Christmas, then we've been selling this club since about April. Because whoever's buying us will have to go through loads and loads of analytics and legal paperwork to buy the club. I don't think we'll get sold before the summer because it takes that long. But if it happens before then, we've been being sold for a lot longer than we think, because it literally does take months to buy a football club. Because you've got to check everything. You've got to go through over everything. You've got to go through all the litigation. You've got to check all the books, the accounts, everything. So I don't think it'll happen before Christmas, because unless we've been working on this for a very long time. Hi Mark, congratulations on the new setup. You deserve it. Anyway, how fast can you see the sale going through? I think I've just answered that one. And Barney's net worth is $96 billion, says Adam. That's your opinion, Nart, but Ronaldo boosted. No, I disagree, Jay. I think it's factual that Ronaldo's not the reason we've sold. The Glazers are selling, to be honest. The Liverpool game called off was the icebreaker for United and Liverpool to be sold, says Sean from Ireland. I agree. I agree with that. I think the minute the Super League got binned was the minute Liverpool and Man United owners started to think we need to sell. And it can, when you want to, you think about when you want to sell your house, you don't just put it on the market and sell it tomorrow. You might need to decorate a bit. You might need to get a new carpet. You might, it takes time. I wonder how long they've been planning to sell this club, and I think they've been challenging it for a year. Because as I said, the Super League would have made them loads of money, and business people don't like it when they lose money. But look, who's going to buy Manchester United? We're going to find out very, very soon. We're going to start to find out every day, I think. There'll be new people coming forward who want to buy the club. Do I think it will be Sir Jim Ratcliffe? It could be. Do I think he's the right owner? If he's got the billions needed to invest after he's bought it, he's the right owner. Has he got 4 or 5 billion after he's bought the club for 6 billion? I don't know. That's the most important thing. I would keep that in your hat. It's not about who can buy the club. It's who can buy the club and then spend another 4 billion on the club. You need 10 billion to buy Man United, not 6. The 6 to the Glazers and the 4 into the club. We need somebody who's got 10 billion spare. Whether it's a consortium, an investment fund, an individual, it's not 6, it's 10. Because you buy the club and then you build the stadium and you rebuild the structure and you rebuild the team. That's what we need to do. And of course, I do agree that beyond that, you've then got the whole, what happens with the manager, the infrastructure, the director of football. I mean, to be honest with you, there's so many good people who work at Manchester United. I've got no problem with the catering, the communications, marketing. There's so many good people who work at Manchester United. But the headline people who need to go, well, the Glazers will be gone and the board needs changing completely. I'd keep Sir Alex Ferguson on the board, but Sir Alex Ferguson's not involved in the day-to-day running of the club. We need a new CEO. We need, the top level jobs would need to go. It really pisses me off that people keep staying away from Middle Eastern buyers because they claim that their countries have no human rights, while UK itself invaded lots of countries, says Sheriff. Yeah, as I said, it's the same as Qatar, isn't it? Well, it's not the same as Qatar at all. That's very unfair to say it's the same as Qatar. It's completely not the same as Qatar. It's the same as American investment. It's the same as Korean investment. It's the same as Ambani from India. The reality is every prospective buyer must be assessed on their own individual right. There may be investment from the Middle East that is absolutely agreeable with every Manchester United fan. There may be investment from America that is agreeable with every Man United fan. The flip side is there might be investment from America that makes people say, no, thank you, I don't want that near our club. And the same from the Middle East. I'm keeping an open mind. I want to hear about, hopefully we're going to hear about who wants to buy the club, and then we can, have our say on it then. Ultimately, the Glazers will have the ultimate say. United's first signing under ownership is a world-class striker, says Michael, and don't really have anything to say. Just wanted to take a moment to say thanks to everyone that's involved in the community and keep up the work, says Elliot. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to be over on That's Football in 10 minutes. Welcome to the Members Club, Joshua. I'm over on That's Football in 10 minutes for Germany's game because the World Cup is still going on. We're bigger than the World Cup, by the way. Man United are bigger than the World Cup. Ronaldo and the sale of Man United is headline news in the UK on the BBC. We're bigger than the World Cup. Don't anybody ever say that Man United aren't the biggest club in the world. We're bigger than the World Cup. But we are back at 9 o'clock tonight. The 9 o'clock show tonight. Obviously not 8 o'clock because there is a World Cup game between Belgium and Canada, which I'm also doing. But I will be carrying on the chat on That's Football. I'll push you over there now. We're live at 1 o'clock for Germany's game against Japan, which I'm really looking forward to. So there's a very good striker called Makuku who is on the bench, I think, for Germany, who might get on. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you over on That's Football. We're back at 9 o'clock tonight, unless something happens before then, which could well happen. So make sure you smash a like and subscribe. And I'll see you over on That's Football in a few minutes.